And happy Monday, everyone. And we begin tonight with what I think is the question. When you are in the midst of a crisis, and specifically a crisis of democracy, how do you resist? When fascism isn't just coming, it's already here. So what, if anything, can you do about it? Well, for one thing, you can try to learn from history, from what people in this situation in countries around the world and in America have done before. As my friend Rachel Maddow always says, history is here to help. America hasn't always been a free country for everyone, and we've had resistance movements from day one. From enslaved people fighting their captivity. Shout out to Harriet Tubman, who was a 92%er before 92%ing was cool. And even taking up arms during the Civil War. To the women's movement and the workers' rights movement and the Stonewall gay rights movement. They've all been versions of the fight to make this a free country for everyone and to have a true multiracial democracy. And that is history's most important lesson, right? That the most important thing, the first rule, is to fight back, to never stop resisting. Do not obey in advance, as Tim Snyder put it. Do not take the knee, to throw in a Game of Thrones reference. Even if it's scary or uncomfortable or inconvenient, just keep saying no, or finding creative ways to say no in small ways and large. Medgar Evers said, do not shop where they will not employ you. Dr. King championed the Montgomery bus boycotts to become the leader of the civil rights movement. The labor rights movement shut down factories and hobbled industries to win the 40-hour work week that you enjoy right now, and more recently to ensure the right of workers to work from home during COVID. People have marched against the Vietnam War and the war in Iraq and against the decimation of Gaza using our tax dollars. You don't always win every battle, but the whole thing is about resisting. Last week, federal employees received an Orwellian email from the Office of Personnel Management, the government's HR department, following a tweet from their apparent real boss, the world's richest billionaire Elon Musk, head of the fictional and Orwellian Department of Government Efficiency, stating that, consistent with President Trump's instructions, all federal employees will shortly receive an email requesting to understand what they got done last week. Failure to respond will be taken as a resignation. The email that followed literally had the same subject line. What did you do last week? And came from the Office of Personnel Management's new HR email address, but had no signature. Here's the full email. Please reply to this email with approximately 5 bullets of what you accomplished last week and CC your manager. Please do not send any classified information, links, or attachments. Deadline is this Monday at 11:59 p.m. EST. The Saturday email kicked off a flurry of, shall we say, varied responses from the various podcasters, reality show hosts, and semi-famous people who run the agencies in our trumped-out federal government. Some, including Kash Patel, who alarmingly enough runs the FBI, told their employees to hold off, given that, per his email, the FBI, through the Office of the Director, is in charge of all our review processes and will conduct reviews in accordance with FBI procedures. When and if further information is required, we will coordinate the responses. For now, please pause any responses. Others, like Robert F. Kennedy Jr., emailed his department that the OPM email was legitimate and instructed them to read and respond per the instructions by the Monday evening deadline. However, per Sam Stein of the Bulwark, one agency under HHS took the opposite stance. Matthew Memoli, the acting director of the National Institutes of Health, emailed his team to tell them to please hold on responding until we receive further guidance. Sam Stein is also reporting that HHS is backtracking on the Elon email and saying not to respond. Employees at the Department of Justice and Department of Defense are also being told not to respond. And you thought your HR department was chaotic. In short, nobody really knows what to do. Just the usual Trump world reality show chaos. But the email presented Americans with one of the other really perfect responses to fascism: ridicule. Journalist Allison Gill from a Substack called The Breakdown posted some of the best fictional responses that appeared online in response to the question, what would you really like to say in your response? Some of the best included: Number 1, kept refreshing email to see if I was fired or placed on administrative leave. Number 2, tried to concentrate over the sound of colleagues cleaning out their desks. Number 3, accommodated the request for access to classified data by big balls. Number 4, had a scotch. Number 5, researched countries I can relocate to. Another one said, drank it old-fashioned. Number 2, took a nap. Number 3, delighted coworkers with sarcasm. Number 4, dropped a tray of chocolate-covered pretzels in the conference room before the town hall. Number 5, put Black History Month stickers on bulletin board and gave out emotional support dumpster fires. And last but not least, number 1, executed low productivity tasking. Number 2, identified opportunities to transition to high productivity tasking. Number 3, developed a plan for Doge to F off. Number 4, all the Teams meetings. Number 5, responded to meaningless emails about task execution. The point being, other than it being hilarious, that this regime that we find ourselves living under is producing massive chaos and trauma in the lives of federal workers and in the country. Just look at this latest round of protests at Tesla dealerships, at town halls. America is resisting in large ways and small. The Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts has seen a 50% drop in ticket sales. Drag queens are showing up to protest outside. America is saying no to Elon Musk running us. We do not want him in charge, period. And Donald Trump, the guy who handed his biggest donor the keys to the whole federal government for him to do whatever he pleases with it, is underwater in every single poll, from Gallup to the Washington Post to CNN to Reuters, you name it. Other than his MAGA cult, nobody wants this chaos and confusion. And it also raises the question of what is the actual waste, fraud, and abuse that Elon and friends are finding? So far, their claim of finding $55 billion in savings is backed by exactly 0 facts. While they're threatening the future of Medicaid and food stamps for millions of Americans and even Social Security payments. While the only fraud seems to be Elon Musk, racking up new contracts with the federal government on the taxpayer dime while giving back 0 savings from his Starlink, Tesla, and SpaceX deals with the Defense Department and other agencies. Sorry, why does he get to make more money while you and your community get less? And the only abuse that we're seeing is against the very federal workers in all 50 states who are being bullied by the 19-year-old Doge kids and told to justify their jobs by a guy who spends all day literally tweeting and waving a chainsaw around while wearing sunglasses indoors. Is this the efficient government that you voted for? Really? Because it all really just looks, to my mind, like a mess. And we're probably looking at a government shutdown next month, since the completely incompetent Republican Party has no idea how to run the government. And what that tells you is that even when Republicans claim that Trump has a mandate or that he's doing what the American people voted for, they are lying. Nobody voted for this. This is a mess, and not even a normal mess. It's a fascistic mess. And what you can do about it is what you're already doing. Just say no. Tonight on our final...
Joy Reid. There are so many different levels that this can be discussed and taken through. Let's start with the basic level. She was a broadcaster. She's not died, but she's not on MSNBC anymore, which is the last show which you've just seen. Broadcaster. And the reason I say that is because there are other broadcasters who you may have noted haven't said anything. They may have. Let me give you the example. And I said this earlier, and somebody said, I couldn't hear you, so I'm going to say it again. Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon left their respective cable news stations pretty damn close to each other. Could even have been on the same day, I think. But you would have noticed they didn't attack each other. Because is the line they're all in the same town hall? Is that the right line? Real broadcasters are not attacking Joy Reid. Your Megyn Kellys and people like that, that's there to one side. They're people who have to say something because they need that constant attention, constant reaffirmation. Real broadcasters are leaving her alone. And that's quite interesting because they know, and I use Don Lemon and Tucker Carlson, they know that could be their fate the very next day. Now, you can turn around and say, yeah, but they've made so much money. They can do podcasts. They can set up a YouTube channel. There's loads of things they can do. Jim Acosta left CNN, literally found himself on the feet within hours. Here's the other thing, which is also playing out right now. There will be people who do not like Joy Reid's politics. That's just the environment we're in. So for them, it will give them a level of satisfaction, which probably, if let's say, for example, Judge Jeanine Pirro would people who don't like Fox and Judge and the Imperial would do exactly the same. The reason I say all of that, because a lot of the stuff on social media, and it's probably illustrated by the President of the United States of America fully going to town, cited bad ratings and all of that stuff. So that is the vacuum we are currently in. There is one other thing, and this is unfortunate, and this is where MSNBC do have to take some blame. Joy Reid was probably the highest profile black host, presenter, anchor, whatever word you want to say, on MSNBC. So that meant that often anything she had to say relating to black issues was, well, blown up. She became the voice. Whether it was chosen or not, I don't know, but she became the voice. So there will be people who literally will call her race baiting and various other things. And unfortunately, a lot of the subjects that Joy and Reid covered that maybe didn't fall under race-related subjects never got highlighted. If you look now, people doing the highlights are always like, we did the same against Byron Donalds, just contentious issues. So she almost got painted into a corner for being, how should we call it? What do the MAGA say if you talk about the president? You got TDS. Trump this, Trump that, and that's what they have to say. So they're quite happy about it. Now, those are some facts that are actually out there. Unfortunately, at the same time as Joy Reid being replaced, MSNBC did get rid of some of the only word I can use is non-white presenters. Now, this is really, really important. A cable news station, like any private company, can decide who they employ. They can see the contracts out or whatever. So you can always draw any conclusions which suits your particular political narrative at the time. I was more intrigued, by the way, with Lester Holt leaving, and not really too much has been said about that. To me, that was more significant. Now, with regards to Joy Reid, and you've got Michael Steele, who's going to be doing the show replacing her, isn't exactly a lightweight. Maybe Michael Steele is somebody who just speaks about Republican issues from a former Republican who's now kind of soft Democrat. I don't know. But I think there's something going on here where it's not that the voice of or the subjects that Joy Reid is covering are going to go, but it's just being badly handled, I would say, by the people at MSNBC. And where did the leak come from? Joy Reid says at first she and her staff found out about it was from social media. I tend to think the leak came from somebody within MSNBC quite high up. Who knew? The last thing, and you can see this elsewhere on the channel, I don't know why she did this video. She did a video where she was crying, and the problem with crying videos, if they're people who have no profile or anything like that, it's understandable. But when they're people who have public profiles, there's always going to be a level of what I would call cynicism, which plays directly into, as I said, those that are called Joanne Reid, race beta, those that don't like her. It's the same when Selena Gomez said something, who I think Selena Gomez is brilliant, was very genuine, but she was castigated. That is the environment we're in at the moment. We're also in this crazy environment. If a Dem says something, doesn't matter what they say, the Republicans will come down on top of them. You can't do that, and vice versa. So those are the rules of the game at the moment. I think Joy Reid knows the rules of the game, which is why she turned up today to do her last show. The last thing I will say, and these are the people I do feel sorry for, those that were, and I wasn't aware of this, I thought you were just the staffer at MSNBC, but no, those that specifically work on that show have found out they've lost their jobs. Now, they may well be re-employed, but I don't think the best way to find out you've lost your job is via something on X. Financially, I don't think Joy Reid's going to have a problem. I said she can do a Substack, what Jim Acosta did. She can start her own podcast. She will be fine. But one thing I would say, you have a great support, Joy. You're a great broadcaster. Lots of people will follow you to whatever platform you go next. But the crying video, I don't think that, this is my personal thing, I don't think that was a winner. I really, really don't, because you don't really need to go for the sympathy vote. She already had all of that. Literally, people were literally lining up. I'd even say some people who don't probably like her political opinions were lining up to say at least she's authentic. All right, so she didn't need to do that. Anyway, comment section is all yours. I'd love to know where you are in terms of MSNBC. Do you think they're doing this thing? I mean, somebody said they've got rid of all of the use the expression non-white broadcasters. Eamon's gone. Katie Fang's gone. Jonathan, the Sunday Show's gone. Or is it just like with the sports team? They're bringing in some fresh legs, some fresh voices and they're perfectly entitled to do that. This is the thing, they're entitled to do that. And people that say, oh, cancel MSNBC, etc., don't think, unfortunately, it's going to make a blind bit of difference. And probably in a month, 2 months' time, everybody would have just moved on. That's the way cable news actually is. Especially when you're doing, well, it's not really necessarily news, it's opinions. Right? Well, I should know. Thoughts?